Hello and welcome to a new style of video that none of you guys have ever seen me do before. Most of this channel, from the older videos to the new videos, consisted of car-related things. This series is going to be very similar, with the exception of the fact that I am not going to be driving cars. Rather, I'm going to be walking around and telling stories. Because I like to tell stories, and I like to tell facts and everything, as I'm a journalist. And this is what I'm good at. To start things off with the first ever episode in the series, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the 8th Gen Si. How that car came to be, what enticed me to own it, and all of that stuff. Before we start that, I'd just like to give you a bit of insight as to what is happening in this series that I plan to move forward. This series is going to be mainly focused on a series of stories, as I mentioned before, facts, and maybe some automotive news. I dabble in a bit of writing every so often, and I post that up onto my Instagram page and my Substack page now. And that involves a bit of news, and like what is going on in the automotive world. I'm going to talk about that in this series. But I'm also just going to give you guys some stories, some insights as to what enticed me to do what I'm doing today, and how I enjoy it and how I film stuff like that. However, for today's video, we're just going to talk about the cars. More specifically, my current car, my 2007 Honda Civic Si Coupe. How did I get that car? What's the backstory behind it? How did I find it? And then it's so much more, and a lot of interesting stories about that car. So we're just going to go on a scenic walk, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about that car. We have my dog here. His name is Percy, and he loves to walk, and I love to walk too. So what better way to start off the first episode in this series than with a walk and talk? So where do I begin? I guess I should tell you a little bit about my previous car. My previous car, it's up on my Instagram page. It was a 2014 Honda Civic EX with the 5-speed manual. So this is a non-SI model. It's got the R18, about 150 horsepower. I don't remember the torque numbers on them. I think it was around 120 foot-pounds of torque. And it was quite potent. Quite slow, but it handled really well. You know, for a Civic, especially for a base model Civic, it wasn't the slowest thing in the world, but I'd always been attracted to the 8th Gen Si, seeing I watched a lot of YouTube videos with the 8th Gen Si, and look at him, he's so cute. And I loved the fact that the 8th Gen was, as known in the public, as one of the last true Honda Civic SIs. The 9th Gen Si had VTEC, but it didn't rev as high as the 8th Gen, and it also didn't have VTEC on the intake, it only had it on the exhaust. The 8th Gen revved to 8,300 RPM and had VTEC on the intake and exhaust. And yeah, that's what enticed me to choose 8th Gen over 9th Gen. So I had the 9th Gen EX for a little over 5 months, I'd say. I got it back in June. Drove it a little in June, owned it full-time from September to January. In January, I decided to start looking for other cars. The 9th Gen was a great car. It was cheap on gas. It was very reliable. It has currently 277,000 kilometers on it, I believe. And it's had no major issues whatsoever. But I wanted something fun. I wanted something that I could daily drive, but also be slightly faster, sound slightly better, and handle better. And as I'd said before, I'd been following a lot of 8th Gen content on YouTube. I decided that an 8th Gen Si would be perfect for me. So I did what everyone always does and browsed Marketplace. I had my buddy browse Marketplace too. I found a few 8th gens. A lot of them were beat up or had really high mileage. And then, about a week into my search, my buddy sends me this white 8th Gen Si coupe with only 137,000 kilometers. For my American viewers, that's around 85,000 miles. This car is listed for a hefty price, around $95,000 Canadian. Or sorry, not 95,000. $9,500 Canadian. But I was just like, well, I bet you we can talk him down a little bit. The body, there was one issue. The front bumper was it was just not in the best of shape. And so, we worked our magic. My buddy talked him down, managed to talk him down a full $1,000 down to $8,500. And the guy was basically like, if you want to talk me down more, we can negotiate in person. Now, the only problem with negotiating in person was the fact that this car was around 2 hours away from my current location. But I looked up photos of the car. I looked up the VIN on Carfax. Everything looked perfect. So I decided, okay, I'll go out. And then I had the news that I couldn't take the 9th Gen out to Red Deer. So that was a bit of an issue. So I called my buddy and was like, okay, do you want to go out on a road trip to Red Deer, look at this car, potentially bring it home? And he agreed. And so me, him, and his girlfriend went all the way out to Red Deer in a little Toyota Corolla. And we came to this guy's house. It was a fun little road trip. I saw the car and I took it around the loop and instantly fell in love with it. It was stiff, as expected. This guy's neighborhood was full of ice and snow. And so we would just hit a bump and it would just be horribly stiff. Back-shattering stiff, I would say. But I still loved the car. And that was right then and there when I decided, okay, this is my car, I'm going to buy it. We managed to get him down to 8,200. Had a bit of a hassle with setting up insurance to get it home, but figured it out, and we were able to drive it home. I let my buddy drive it for the first hour. There is some footage that I got. It's up on Instagram. It's one of the first few posts of the vehicle. And I remember the first pull he did onto the highway when it crossed over at 5,800 RPM. It was beautiful. VTEC pushes you back in your seat a little. It's not very noticeable, but it is. It pushes you back in your seat a little. And just the crossover sound with those headers on the car sounded absolutely amazing. Stopped by a gas station, filled it up, drove it a bit more through Red Deer. Once we got back into my hometown, the city that's close to my hometown, pulled over and I got to drive it for the last hour of the trip. And it was phenomenal. It was my first time being in a car of a racing harness. And so that was quite interesting, experiencing that for the first time. I had been so used to being able to shoulder check easily with a racing harness. It's very hard. You can probably tell in some of my videos that I struggle when shoulder checking with this car. But I've gotten better with it now. The first thing I noticed about the car was it was incredibly stiff. And once I got it home, I figured out why. What I somehow hadn't noticed in my walk around was that this car had cambered suspension. And so it had aftermarket camber arms. The camber was crazy on this car. It actually still is because I haven't messed with the suspension at all. And if you've noticed any of my walk around videos, you'll probably be able to tell the camber in the front is insane. But it handles incredibly well. And so, yeah. There was that all throughout January and to now. It's been kind of a bit of a hassle because every single bump on let's just say the car is not good in the snow. It's very stiff. It's low to the ground. And so every single patch of chunk of snow you hit, you feel. But it's April now, the sun is shining, the roads are clear, and I've been driving the car a whole of a lot, or a heck of a lot more, and it's beautiful. Now here's where the story gets funny, and we're going back in time a bit. I told you about how I got it home, but I never actually did a pre-purchase inspection on this car. I know, that's stupid. I really should have, but I didn't. And so I remember the week leading up to my inspection, or I guess before the inspection, I was just so nervous because I was like, if this car needs, I don't know, $5,000 in repairs, I already spent $8,200. I've got $5,000 to spend, but I really would not want to have to do that. And so I took it into the inspection, and they took an absurd amount of time. I'd say like 6 hours, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because they were inspecting everything. I told them to inspect clutch, transmission, gears, engine, make sure there's no leaks, check suspension, brakes, all that. Everything was perfect. With the only issue being the crash bar, which rather confused me because the Carfax on this car doesn't have any reported accidents. Now, of course, you should know to never really fully trust the Carfax because there could be stuff that are hidden. If they don't claim insurance, it doesn't show up on the Carfax. But I was reassured the crash bar wasn't too bad. It was just welded into something. I think it was welded into just welded to the radiator, like re-welded, because they're welded from the factory, but this looked like it was re-welded. And apparently the job wasn't that good. But I was told that everything structural looked fine. There was no frame damage. So that's good. But that also explains the bumper. I haven't touched the bumper yet. I plan to do that in the summer, which is coming up. But once I do, I will definitely make a post on it. Now, what have I done to this car? Well, I've done taillight tint, which kind of turned out bad because my buddy poured ice down the brake light. But that's a story for another day. And I also got sponsored with some LED lights, which are up on my Instagram, the post that I made about them, which was a really cool deal, you know. Starting out, having your first sponsor, it's quite nice, and those LED lights are phenomenal. That's what's been done to the car. That's the car in its current presence. I wanted to do a video like this because I like to talk, but I promise you the next videos are going to be a lot more interesting. Whenever I start a new format, it takes me a little while, but I like to post raw, unedited footage so that you guys can see how I grow with this type of content. And I hope you enjoyed this short little story about my car. And I will be doing more videos like this because it's gotten warmer out. It's nice to walk around, and my dog likes the exercise too. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Hopefully it's a POV video. The Ferrari's coming at the end of April. That's all I'm gonna say. I haven't done a video on that car yet. I feel like I'm just gonna have to. And yeah, if you enjoy this type of content, as always, be sure to like, subscribe. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you didn't like. Constructive criticism is key with my content. I listen to my viewers, and I try to improve to the best of my abilities. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in the next one. You guys are the best. Stay safe out there. See ya.